Thank you. Minister Lametti, our Senate Legal Committee has called some legal experts before us to help us study this particular legislation. And I asked them this. What do you think about the fact the federal government has chosen to deal with the important topic of anti-Semitism and the criminal code being used here to combat it via a Budget Implementation Act that is 440 pages long and allows parliamentarians through this process really only a more constrained ability to be able to debate and deliberate on these types of criminal code amendments? Jody Burks from the Canadian Bar Association replied with this answer, quote, "The senator raises an important question here. The Canadian Bar Association has long held that criminal legislation deserves its own statute and to have this focus specifically on criminal legislation. Good criminal legislation needs to be vetted appropriately, needs to be debated in order to come to decisions that benefit the criminal justice system as a whole and society as a whole. So we do not like omnibus bills. We do not think it is proper to create changes to criminal legislation through either omnibus bills or as amendments to the budget legislation as we see here," quote. So, Minister Lametti, this criminal code offence on anti-Semitism has nothing to do with the budget. And Minister, isn't it the case that the only reason you have inserted this particular criminal code offence into your Budget Implementation Act is that it gave your government the opportunity to scoop the essentially identical bill combating anti-Semitism, which was already in the House of Commons, introduced 4 months ago as Bill C-250 by Saskatchewan Conservative MP Kevin Waugh?
Thank you, Senator. It's an important question. Obviously, the importance of the substantive nature of this part of the bill is beyond question. We all agree we need to condemn anti-Semitism, and the United Nations has asked us to do it. The reality is this needed to be done quickly. The reality is it is a priority to send out this message now, as the United Nations has asked us and other countries to do, and it's a principle with which we all agree. And the reality is that timing in the House is limited, and private members' bills have little chance of getting through in time. They don't always have the attention of their House leaders. And we only have 3 weeks left before the end of session. And if we are going to get this done, and it's an important thing to get done, we're going to get it done now. And so I agree that this was an appropriate place to insert this part of the legislation.
Well, Mr. Waugh actually had the success of passing a private member's bill in the last Parliament, and I'm certain that he would have had the attention of our House leader here, but be that as
he had my support in the last Parliament for that bill, so that certainly helped him along.
Well, you could have done the same here then, I guess, too. Minister, what is the definition of downplaying that you're using here for this new criminal code offence that you're establishing with this legislation? I doubt the word downplaying appears anywhere else in the criminal code. Oxford defines downplaying as, quote, make something appear less important than it really is, quote. So, my goodness, Minister Lametti, you're actually contending that constitutes a criminal offence.
Well, remember that it's downplaying, diminishing. It is a concept known within the criminal law, other areas of law, but it's also linked to the idea of promoting anti-Semitism or hatred. So it's not simply downplaying the Holocaust on its own, but downplaying the Holocaust in a way that promotes anti-Semitism according to definitions that we know. So that part of the criminal element is still there in the act, and so the standard, we feel the standard is of the same level for this very important crime. And if Anna Decker or Nathalie Hébert would like to add that, I would if there's more detail, they would be welcome to do so.
Yes, I'll certainly have a chance to ask the officials, but I'm wondering, Minister, that's a very important part of this particular part of the bill. How do you define downplaying?
I don't have to define downplaying as the Minister of Justice. I mean, the word has a plain language meaning in English, and it's tied with the other parts, tied together with the other parts of the bill to form the active part of the offence.